Easy, Baba. Easy.
The Father has given us the kingdom.
Everything the light touches is our kingdom.
Welcome to the kingdom.
Our kingdom will be out of this world.
Psalm 110. The Lord said unto my Lord, Sit thou at my right hand, until I make thine enemies thy footstool.
Master, have mercy on me. Please have mercy.
The Lord shall send the rod of thy strength out of Zion. Rule thou in the midst of thine enemies. Thy people shall be willing in the day of thy power. In the beauties of holiness from the womb of the morning, thou hast the dew of thy youth. The Lord hath sworn, and will not repent. Thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. Thy right hand shall strike through kings in the day of his wrath. He shall judge among the heathen. He shall fill the places with the dead bodies. He shall rule the heads over many countries. He shall drink of the brook in the way. Therefore shall he lift up the head.
Our kingdom will be out of this world.
Master, have mercy on me. Please have mercy. Let's move it, man. Keep it moving. The master is coming. Keep it moving.
It's time for judgment.
Master is here. He is here.
Our kingdom will be out of this world.
Just gonna say whatever comes to my mind. The first thing I'm gonna say is, you fucking Edomites, you're in a lot of goddamn trouble because you didn't just take any old nation and enslave them and put us put us under your feet, but you did it to sovereigns, the children of Israel. And Yasha Allah, Yah meaning he, Shah meaning prince, which is royal, sovereign. Allah meaning power of God. We are the princes of God, and you enslaved us for a period. Think you're gonna get cold, fucked up.
It's time for judgment.
Master is here! He is here! Bow before the master! Bow your heads!
My slaves,
Bow your heads!
my slaves. It's time for judgment.
Master is here! He is here!
All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Rakakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful elect out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Rakakwadash, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right. And what I want to get into, well, what we're going to get into in this morning news and prophecy, the mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight, and it's just more prophecy speaking, real time, and one thing about prophecy, the Lord gives us a prelude, of, the major prophecy, being fulfilled. Okay. So what we see now, with this American military, all right, is they're out there with no strategy. Of course, the elites don't give a damn. They're just trying to manipulate the situation for a new world order. That's their whole thing. Okay. What you have, this American military from, its command on down, they were just thrust into a war. Okay. And their mindset, all right, and the whole agenda behind the war from the elites, from the small hats, the state of Israel, okay, the elites of America, these oligarchs of America, and Trump, their whole thing was a quick, okay, war, okay, a quick regime change, because the small hats, they did have, agents, that was in position, amongst the ranks of Iran, okay. They did have, intel on the supreme leader and his whereabouts, okay. And they had certain, inside information that was telling them from the inside that, look, a quick strike, okay, over what they call shock and awe, an overwhelming decapitation campaign, could start an uproar within, the government, and they can come in and do a coup from within, and it was supposed to be, a week at best, campaign, okay, the decapitation strike that started off, and then the overwhelming shock and awe campaign of continual strikes, that will bring in the overthrow. Okay, so pretty much to sum it up, it failed. Okay, and now they're in a position that they didn't really think they would have to deal with. They knew, all right, that the straits were closed. They knew, that Iran, was capable of striking back. They didn't know to what capacity. And now they're finding out the hard way real time. Okay. And now they're out there with no strategy. It's like this, just to sum it up. It's like you want to fight somebody and your plan is, I'm going to sneak this nigga and knock him out. Okay. And that's your plan. And America is experts at doing that. They do that all the time. And see, they took a gamble. So if the gamble would have worked, it would have been great, like Venezuela, because even with Venezuela, the leader that they have in Venezuela now, she's already making deals with the small hats, showing you that she was a plant on the inside. All they had to do was topple Maduro, okay? And now they have their plant in position, okay? And they had the same setup in Iran, but Iran is completely different from Venezuela. And what makes Iran different? Prophecy, okay? The devil walked into a trap. And now, saying all that to say this, those same soldiers that was in Venezuela on their campaign, now they got shipped directly to Iran, okay? And they've been, at sea for like 9 months, okay? They've been at sea for like 9 months. And now you're seeing, mental breakdown, you're seeing fatigue, okay? You're seeing confusion. They don't know if the war is on, if it's not, if it's a deal, no deal. They don't know what their mission is, okay? Which, hey, the hell with them niggas. You U.S. military personnel, you signed up for this, man. Okay? That's what you signed up for. All right? Stop complaining, But, yeah, so basically, like I say, it's like you having a strategy, like, look, I'm gonna knock this nigga out, I'm gonna sneak this nigga, I'm gonna knock him out. And that's your strategy for the fight. So you snuck him, but you didn't knock him out. And not only did you not knock this nigga out, this nigga can fight. This nigga can strike, this nigga can wrestle, this nigga strong, this nigga got endurance, this nigga got agility, this nigga got combos, this nigga can block. You see? So now you out here. The fight started now. Okay, and if you just had a one-tier plan, okay, you're in trouble for the rest of the fight. And that's what America is at. They're in trouble for the rest of the fight, man. It's only gonna get worse, man. Okay, and these devils on the backside, they gotta come on with this technocracy, man. They gotta come on with these crises in America and come on with this technocracy, man, and make this C-HIP mandatory. Okay, because it's only gonna get worse, man. So let's get some precepts. And then I got a video I want to get into. When you go to here, Jeremiah 50, okay, and we can start at we started at 29. In Jeremiah 50 and 29 said, call together the archers against Babylon, all ye that bend the bow, camped against it round about. And this is calling out all the nuclear power nations, man. Okay, and guess who's forming an alliance real time against Babylon? Nuclear power nations. Okay, this alliance of Russia and these other nations, these are all nuclear power capable nations. North Korea is nuclear power. China, nuclear power. Okay, and you best believe Iran is nuclear power. They haven't announced it, but you best believe. All right, they're not idiots. Okay, you see, Pakistan, nuclear power. You see, India, nuclear power. All these nations that's beginning to merge with Magog, the chief prince, which is Russia, okay, are nuclear power. And this is the Lord summoning these nuclear power nations to come against Babylon, the whore, man. Okay, it says camp against it round about. Let none thereof escape. Recompense her according to her work, according to all that she have done, do unto her. For she have been proud against the Lord Yahweh by Shema Shai, against the Holy One of Israel, man. And the Lord is addressing Babylon. Babylon is isolated for judgment. Okay, the people of Babylon, the nation of Babylon itself, the landmass. Okay, the system of Babylon, all these things are now being addressed by Yahweh Bashim Al Shah via prophecy, man. So it's nothing but bad news, okay, for you Americans, you know, from the elites down to the common person, just like in Egypt. The scriptures speak about how the common man suffered like the king suffered like the common man, okay? So it's nothing but bad news from here on out, okay, for America, man, okay? Now, when you keep reading, it says, therefore shall her young men fall in the streets, and all her men of war shall be cut off in that day, said the Lord Yahweh by Shema Shai. So this is the Lord doing this. Okay, it's gonna be inside of America eternally. Okay, it's gonna be a slaughterhouse, and outside of America, man, wherever American troops and American assets are all being targeted by prophecy, man. You know, and we know it's going to be a global judgment, you see, but it's emphasis on America, which has been at the forefront of this rebellion against Yahweh by Shema Shai in the earth, man. You know, so the American military, you're through. If you are American military personnel, you're done. Okay, it only gets worse from here. You see, this is just the beginning. This is just level one, man. The Lord got plenty more phases to go, man. Okay, and escalate this thing. All right, verse 31 says, behold, I am against thee, O thou most proud, said the Lord power of hosts, for the day is come, the time that I will visit thee, man. You know, and the Lord is visiting America at home and visiting America abroad. Okay, and even if you're an ally with America, man, okay, you through. You know, being joined with America is the worst alliance you can have, being joined to America in any type of way. Okay, because the Lord, all right, is visiting Babylon, man. You see, and it's gonna be with great judgment, man. And we're just seeing the beginning. We're just seeing the opening acts of our power, you know, beginning to work. It says, and the most proud shall stumble and fall, and none shall raise him up. I will kindle a fire in her cities, and it shall devour all round about him, man. Okay, so there's a fire, you know, and nuclear destruction that's headed this way, you know, and it begins with, all right, these devils, you know, starting this war, okay, that they're trapped, you know, they walked into this trap because they can't get out of it, you know, they can't retreat. You see, everyone's locked into an escalation trap to get to, all right, this nuclear destruction of America, man. You know, they're locked in. You see, in America trying to keep calling times out, nigga, you out of timeout. Okay, Iran not stopping, nigga. You out of timeout. You gonna call 3 times out. You get 3 times out, nigga. That's it. Okay, nigga, you got to go now. Nigga, this the fight you started. Okay, and then it's gonna lead to what, the redemption of the nation of Israel. That's another thing we always gotta remember. You know, our redemption, our salvation is tied, you know, to this war. You know, because when you talk about war, you know, they talk about, okay, what's your objective in this war? Why did you start this war? Well, the Lord started this war, all right, to judge Babylon and deliver his people. Okay, to judge the heathen, to destroy the militaries of the heathen. See, that we know the military objectives of Yahweh Bashim Al Shah, because the scriptures say, well, he's a man of war. Okay, and he knows he's going to turn America to a desert. Okay, Yahweh Shah is going to destroy all the heathen military, and he's going to deliver the remnant, all right, the elect of his people. Okay, we're going to be changed. That's the objectives for the Most High. You see, all these objectives that these other nations got, they're going to be able to fulfill particular things. Okay, but it's going to be short lived. Everything that they're doing is going to be short lived because the objectives of the Most High is going to counsel and void out everything that these nations, okay, want to do, beginning with America, man. America is center stage for judgment, man. Okay, you got that American military on you. Hey, you're at odds with a higher power. There's a higher power that's against you. Okay, Iran and Russia and China and North Korea, they're just tools that a higher power is using against this American military, man. Okay, so you over there with that uniform on. At one time, it was, cute to be the American military. It was a chill job. All you did was, pretty much monitor traffic lanes and shipping lanes, and you were just on the base as a as a token of deterrence. Nations, pretty much just respected, the American, all right, presence throughout the world. But now this collapse. Okay, now their deterrence, American deterrence, has disappeared. Okay, the fear of American military has fallen off these nations, man. Okay, and now these bases are sitting ducks. These aircraft carriers are sitting ducks. Okay, it said, "Thus said the Lord of hosts: the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and we oppressed together in Babylon, spiritual Egypt. And all that took them captives held them fast and refused to let them go, just like Pharaoh was hardened. Esau was hard. That's why this whole new world order, this is the devil, wanting to merge us with technology. Okay? This is him saying, look, I'm going to have you as a possession forever. I'm going to have, he's telling the Lord, look, I'm going to have your people as a possession forever. Okay? This is my property forever now. I'm gonna change they're not even gonna be what you created them. I'm gonna merge them, I'm gonna alter them to my liking. I'm gonna know their thoughts. I'm gonna put my spirit in them through this technology, man. This is what this devil is saying. Okay, it says, verse 34, their redeemer is strong, the Lord of hosts is his name. He shall thoroughly plead their cause, that he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon. Okay, and Lord's going to disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon with his nuclear destruction, man. Okay, as we're being delivered, America's going to be turned to a lake of fire. Okay, so let's go here. And I know you brothers and sisters probably have heard, dealing with this U.S. Abraham Lincoln, which that's the same aircraft carrier that was in Venezuela, for the months. And it was supposed to leave Venezuela and dock and come back to America, but they went from Venezuela to Iran because America was riding on their high. Trump was hyped up, all the media, all the, people cheering him on, like, man, Trump is such a brave, I might not like him, man, but he's a brave, he's this, he's that. Okay, y'all hyped the coward up. Okay, so the coward started to believe that hype, and he went over there with that real smoke. And he sees that, damn, this shit way different. You see? So let's see. Let's go from here. Let's get this video. All right. And this is beautiful, man. And y'all let me know the video, the sound good, if there's no echo. Bob Bishop.
All right, guys, we have a bombshell report coming out about the USS Abraham Lincoln, where things have really hit the fan, if you know what I'm talking about. First and foremost, we want to get into what has been described as hostile conditions aboard that ship. You got to remember, those soldiers have been there for quite a long time. We were talking a little bit about this with Colonel Wilkerson as well. I want to start there, and then I'm going to get into what is being reported right now, that there are U.S. troops that are now killed, that have been killed aboard that U.S. carrier. Let's go ahead and get started here, where parents are complaining about their children and the conditions aboard that ship. Go ahead and dive in here.
Those family members are outraged by the horrific conditions on board the USS Abraham Lincoln. They describe long workdays, moldy showers, food shortages, and sailors running out of toothpaste, deodorant, and soap. They say their loved ones, our service members, are so exhausted after 9 months at sea, fighting a war with no end in sight, that they fear it could lead to deadly mistakes. Here's how one mom describes her own outrage and the conditions she learned from her son over email.
Food obviously has been scarce. All he's really told me is there's a time where he was only eating half a cup of rice and 2 tortillas. The morale is bad. You're not being able to shower. They don't have toiletries. They're having to share stuff. They're exhausted. Trump doesn't want the bad publicity. He knows that you can't tell me he does not know what's going on over there. You cannot tell me that he does not know that they don't have food. He knows. He knows. Pete Hegseth, send Pete Hegseth over there. Then you come tell us that everything is okay. Because what we're hearing from our children or our spouses or whomever is not that.
So this is not good.
Yeah. And this is what you niggas signed up for. All right. No one's feeling sorry for you, goddamn. Well, we're not. We shouldn't feel sorry for American military personnel. Nigga, what you signed up for? You signed up for the military, and nigga, war come with it. Okay? And these niggas, emailing home to their mom and shit. But this is what you say. This is American culture. The goddamn matriarch. All right? Shout out to the matriarch. Okay? Nigga emailing to his mom. What did he say on baby boy? Yeah, call you mama. Nah, nigga, you locked in. And see, it ain't no if a brother could put that a man's going is of the Lord. All right. Y'all ain't just no random people that happen to be on the USS Abraham over there in the Indian Ocean. All right. Catching hell. Okay. No. If you're on that boat, the Lord wanted your ass on that ship. He wanted you to suffer. Okay. Your ass is the opening act of World War III. You see? So yeah, man, this is what you signed up for. Okay? And emailing your mama ain't gonna get you out of this, man. Okay? Nigga, you're gonna have to deal. All right? What about the people in Gaza that's under rubble? That people gotta try to bury, unbury, all right, their family, with their hands, try to move, all right, rubble and concrete with their hands to get to their family. Okay? Certain soldiers, got to live, underground, to avoid, those airstrikes. Okay. Certain, Hamas jumping out of tunnels, okay, and running up to tanks, all right, and putting detonators on tanks, man. Some of them get shot down, some of them make it, blow the tank up. You see, this war. Okay. As you Americans, you hot pocket eating American, you're not built for this, man. Okay, it's a whole other world over there, and you and your all right elites, okay, have created, the type of man that's over there in the East, okay, through continual oppression, okay, and they sent you out there to crash out and deal with it, okay, because you're not fighting for your family back home in the American military, you're fighting for the interests of the elite bankers, okay. You are the military of the oil companies. You're not the military of America, man. Okay? And all this information coming out, and y'all still signing y'all dumb ass up, man. So y'all deserve everything y'all get. Okay. So, yeah, come, So let's get this real quick. It's a brother servant of Yahweh. It said, man's going of the Lord. How can a man then understand his own way? Okay. So man's going is of the Lord. So the fact that they're over there, well, the Lord wants them over there, man. Okay. And the Lord wants them suffering, man. Okay. So this ain't no say the violin story. And like the brother said, and that's right, man. I know most of us, have heard what our mothers would suggest the military. You know, the woman be the main one that suggests their sons to go into this man's military. You know, the brother you call hopeful late. Ironic that parents are complaining when a lot of them pressure their children to join the service. Yeah. You know, a lot of women, what they tell their son, because it's been, it's been so much, because America really haven't fought any real wars. Okay, they ain't been in a dog fight in a long time since World War II. Vietnam. All right, since World War II and Vietnam, America ain't been in no dog fight, man. Okay, but now, all right, they in the war to end all wars. All right, and you Israelites and you Jakes, you simple as Jakes that's over there. Well, the Lord raised up the prophets to tell you what time we in. Okay, let's get this real quick and then we'll go back to that. All right, hey, don't feel sorry for these goddamn troops over there, man. Okay, the judgment, man. Jeremiah 10:23 says, "Oh Lord, I know that the way of man is not in himself. It is not in man that walketh to direct his steps." Yeah. So Lord put the spirit on y'all to join the military, okay, be in the Navy, okay, and get y'all ass shipped over them, and the Lord directing every step. And then just the beginning, because that's still, all right, it's going to be an attempted ground invasion. That's going to be a slaughterhouse, man. Okay, it's just phase one. You see, so let's play.
Other thing I add again, do not join the military. Like, this is insane. They've been at sea for a long time. And that is obviously going to wear on you at some point in time. But not having toiletries, running out of food, these are not good conditions for anybody, regardless of what the job is. And the US, I would say, the US government, and depending on what type of corporate media, right? Like MS Now tends to be a little bit more left leaning. So because Trump is the president, they're going to call it out. I would imagine if this happened under a Democrat president, they probably would not. So that's how this works. But the reality is the US government is trying to hide this information. Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth want you to believe that everything's going fine and that the US is winning. They're not. You have US soldiers there out at sea who've been there for God knows how long, who are running out of food, no toiletries. These are the conditions that they are dealing with. So for everybody watching, especially younger people, if you were thinking about joining the military, and I say this as someone who comes from a military family, don't do it. Yes, they offer you benefits. Yes, they say we'll pay for your college. Yeah, you'll get TRICARE, which is amazing healthcare. We'll give you housing. Yes, there's all of those things, but at what cost? This is the reality right now. We have a war-hungry administration right now. So there's no telling. I don't see the wars, dying down. I see the wars ramping up over time. So this is insane. And the parents have every right to be upset. But the reality is, when you sign up for this type of job, when you join the military, yeah, they make all these promises to you, but you are essentially risking your life supposedly for this country, but you're risking your life for what?
No, they don't have the right to be upset. Okay, you don't have no goddamn right to be upset because you volunteered for that. And then, cause all these moms were, I'm a Navy mom, I'm a Marine mom. These car tags, okay. When everything was good, no, you boasted about your son is military. How many millions of people have American sanctions killed? Okay, and then the U.S. military is sent to go enforce those sanctions. Okay, and now you niggas running out of toilet paper. The world supposed to stop and be concerned about you niggas. Nah, man, don't worry like that, man. Okay, Rabbit got the gun now. You see, shit ain't cute. All that wickedness the American military has been used for, and now you know. It was a time when this information went out. But see, now you know. Okay, all these different alternative sites. You got X, military telling you that this some bullshit, man, telling you what this is about, telling you what you're fighting for. All these ex-special forces coming back and telling you what it is, man. You see the condition of these veterans and how they're not being taken care of, man. Okay, and then the mental health that they're going through and how this society treat them like shit when they get back. You see that. Okay? So no, nobody has a right to be mad about any goddamn thing. Shut your ass up. Okay? And just deal. It's like everybody else gotta do. Everybody else gotta just deal. Okay? When them F-35s and F-15s, okay, is flying over these other nations' head and they don't have nothing to stop it. Okay? When they just bombing, ain't nothing they can do. Okay? You see? All they hear is F-35s and F-22s and Tomahawk missiles. And there's nothing that can be done about it. Okay? Nah, man, y'all niggas are gonna have to deal like everybody else do, man. Okay, and it only get worse. You see?
For what?
First, it gets to know your business. Smarter with every message.
I'm going to bring into our coverage Pentagon reporter Priya Sridhar, who broke this story. She's also a former officer in the family members. Take us through what you're reporting.
Yeah, that's right, Nicole. Well, there are about 5,000 sailors and Marines who are on that aircraft carrier, the Lincoln, and they just broke a record that nobody in the Navy ever wants to break. And that's the most number of continuous days at sea. They left San Diego, their home port, in November. They briefly stopped in Guam in December, and then they didn't make another port call until they went to Oman just a few weeks ago in early July. Many of these sailors and Marines are working 12 to 14-hour shifts, and depending on their jobs, they're not getting a day off. And when you talk about the flight deck of an aircraft carrier, that's one of the most dangerous places in the military, whether or not you're at war. You have these really fast-paced aircraft that are launching and landing on that flight deck. You have bombs, munitions, and weapons that are being moved around at a very fast pace. And you have these sailors and Marines that are being exposed to extremely loud noises for sustained periods of time.
All of this is going to wear a toll on your mental health, but also this is basically exploitation, working 12 to 15-hour shifts, not having a day off.
Nigga, you at war. Ain't no shifts. The hell you talking about? You see, you Americans are so goddamn pampered. Ain't no shifts. Nigga, you at war. Okay? Nigga, ain't no off. What the hell you talking about? A 15-hour shift. Nigga, you at war. What about these nations you've been bombing for decades? They didn't get no time off. Okay? So nah, nigga, you talking about a shift, nigga, ain't no shifts. Okay? Nigga, this is a continual war. And y'all in the middle of it. Okay?
Barely giving them food. They're running out of toiletries. This is exploitation at its best.
Can really lead to long-term injuries like hearing loss. So really what these families are telling me is that when you couple the exhaustion with the low morale that's a result of the fact that they just learned that their deployment was extended for a second time, they're concerned that this could lead to accidents that could potentially turn deadly. And then on top of that, the conditions that you just talked about, they're telling me that the sailors and the Marines can't take hot showers, that the toilets are non-operational, that for weeks at a time there are no access to working laundry facilities, and that they're having to stand in lines to get into the ship store for 1 to 2 hours. And when they get there, there are no basic hygiene items like toothpaste, deodorant, or soap. And so really...
So we got hygiene issues. People can't have toothpaste. How are they running out of toothpaste? This is insane. Hygiene issues, malnutrition because you're not getting enough food, and they're just stuck out at sea.
Their frustration here is that they keep hearing from lawmakers and on the media these questions about our stockpiles of munitions and weapons and $67 billion that Secretary Hegseth is asking for the DOD. And they want their loved ones to be part of this conversation as well.
Let me play, Priya, your interview with Bonnie York, whose stepson is on the USS Lincoln and who voted for Trump.
Maybe the government could have given us the information we needed to understand what we're doing out there, and for our servicemen and women to say, okay, this is important. This is what we're doing this for. And it's everyone saying, well, they signed up for this. This is what it is. And I'm thinking, what are you talking about? They're going to be out there till they complete their mission. What are we completing? What have we completed? I'd like to know.
But this is what you sign up for when you join the military. Like this is the reality. Now, here's the thing. Most people that join the military, yeah, they tell you might, you might go to war. But most people who join the military are not anticipating going to war.
But they're stupid. Okay? They're dumb. All right? It's like me signing up to play football in high school and not expecting to play football. They're stupid. You see? Yeah, that spirit of America gets something for nothing. Nah, man. You see, you finna earn that Camaro. Okay? And you mothers out there, them niggas ain't coming back. Okay? And this they farewell tour. All right, the U.S. Abraham Lincoln, more than likely, that's gonna be it. Okay? Because when Iran really escalate to another level, they gonna sink them. Okay, they going to the bottom of the Indian Ocean. You see, don't worry about it. After a while, all right, Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, somebody, Pakistan gonna put them out their misery. Okay, and they'll be at the bottom of the Indian Ocean. Okay, now she said that they haven't port, and they said they haven't been to port, in like 6 months. And guess why? Nigga, ain't no ports. Because guess where they usually port at over there in their region? Bahrain. What's happening in Bahrain? Gone. Iran took it off the board. Ain't no ports to port at. You see, Iran, they could sink it, but there'd be escalation. You know, they pacing themselves with the escalation. They'll jump up, they'll jump way up the escalation if they sink it. Okay. But what have they done? They cut it off logistically. Ain't no ports to go to. Because to get to Bahrain, you got to go through the Strait of Hormuz. They can't do that. Okay? These other ports that they used to going to through. Iran ain't just striking randomly. Iran is having a strategy. What we're seeing, okay, is a nigga that took a gamble and lost. And now he dealing, all right, with someone that has strategy. Okay? Iran ain't just striking random things. No, Iran is hitting food depots, they hitting ports, they hitting refuel stations, rearmament stations. Okay, so it's just out there as a sitting duck because they have been logistically isolated because Iran's destroying everything. Ain't no port to go to. Okay, and if America leave out of that, it looks extremely weak. If the U.S. Abraham has to come back to America, it'll look extremely weak. Okay, so those men on that USSR, or those soldiers, probably some women too, but those American soldiers on the USS Abraham Lincoln, they're held hostage by a man's ego, by Esau's ego, the elites, Trump, these oligarchs. So nigga, y'all can't come back because we're a little weak. So nigga and then they can't get no logistics to it. Okay.
There's a number of stories that I could tell you of people trying to find ways to get out of that when they found out that they were going to be, deployed. And the stories are baffling. People have tried so many different things. Like if you're a female, some of the things that's been tried before in the past is getting pregnant, because if you're pregnant, then that would, excuse you from that deployment. But if you're a male, I've heard all kinds of stories of people trying to get out of that situation. So most people don't think that that's actually going to happen, but it is a reality. When you are signing up to join the military, the reality is if the United States goes to war, you may be deployed as well. That being said, that doesn't give the U.S. government the right to not feed people, not give people toiletries so that they can shower and clean themselves, brush their teeth. These are just basic necessities in life. But again, this is the game of exploitation.
Well, let's start a podcast, but not sure how. Riverside has got you covered. First, go.
I mean, this has been part of the political conversation that Marco Rubio and Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and Pete Hegseth have failed to articulate an answer to that Trump voter, that military mom. But I think maybe some people thought that inside the military there was a better understanding. But to hear a mom say, quote, "What are we completing?" is really, really chilling.
Yeah, that's right, Nicole. I mean, all of these sailors and Marines know what they signed up for. They know that, the military isn't, they weren't going to go on a luxury cruise or something like that. They know they're at war. But I think what's really concerning to them is they want to have a clear mission. They want to complete that mission, and they want there to be an end goal. And really, none of the families feel like that has been clearly articulated to them. And they feel like there's just a lack of transparency with this administration about what the purpose of this war is and when they get to come home.
But that's because the Trump administration doesn't have a plan. They're basically supposed to be there for intimidation. They have no plan. That's why the soldiers don't know. They're like, what is our mission? Because the Trump administration doesn't really have a mission.
Priya Sridhar, thank you so much. It's incredible reporting. Thank you for bringing it to us. I want to bring into our coverage Democratic Congressman Jason Crow of Colorado. He served 3 combat tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. He's a member of the House Armed Services and Intelligence Committees. Tom is still with us. Congressman, your thoughts?
Nicole, there's really 2 big things going on here. The first is Donald Trump's general disdain for anyone in public service, anyone who's committed to something bigger than themselves. And in particular for Donald Trump, our service members, who he has a particular disdain for. He's called them suckers and losers. He says he likes people who don't get caught, don't get captured by the enemy. This is a man who can't wrap his brain around the very notion that people would serve, they would sacrifice, they would give something beyond themselves. He cannot comprehend that thought.
Yeah, here it is. He's saying he likes people that don't get caught. Talking about men that were prisoners of war. And he's a 3rd-generation coward. Okay? So your commander-in-chief is one of the biggest cowards on the planet. He comes from a bloodline of cowards. Okay? Dodged the war 5 times. Trump. His grandfather and father left a whole continent, to dodge a war. Okay? And he's telling you what he don't like in a soldier. And he's never been a soldier, man. Okay? So you're at the mercy of a coward. Okay, that just got you out there. Okay? Nigga finna build a $1 billion ballroom. Okay, AI. He gave AI $500 billion. And where all this military money at? Okay? Where the hell is all this military money, man? Okay? Now on the flip side, you got just say $1 trillion last year was $1 trillion budget. So you mean to tell me that these big ass boats, they can't stock up for years just in case? Okay, things go left and they have to be out there longer than expected. Y'all can't have a year's worth of supplies and food on this on these big ass boats, man. But no, that nigga say he saw. Hey, most of the room is full of Tomahawk missiles and jets, nigga. Okay, give you niggas a mini refrigerator, and good luck, nigga. Well, it's your fault. You super stupid for still joining this man military.
So that's the first piece. The second is, this is what happens when you stumble into, or when you enter into, they didn't stumble into it, he chose this war, without a plan. No plan, no strategy, no idea for how they were going to rotate ships through the region, how they were going to rotate aircraft carriers and fighter wings. There is no plan, and now we see the results of that. Our service members are suffering. We don't have adequate supplies to defend the airspace around our bases. The USS Abraham Lincoln, which is one of several large ships in the region, is now at its 9th month at sea. 5 of those months have been engaged in 5 months of combat operations. And the strain on our service members and their families is just building week by week.
Yeah. This is what happens when you have no plan, no plan. So those are some of the conditions that have been happening aboard that particular ship. And then there was the one that I talked about briefly last night, which is that people have been trying to jump off of the ship. This is a mental health crisis.
You guys, there's a talking about, and mainly because the Navy's pretty much quashing it. You will read online about food shortages, supply shortages, poor morale among crew members. That's because they've been at sea continuously for 250 days. They've been deployed a total of 271 days, 250 without a port of call. That's unheard of. Normally, they would go to port every 3 to 6 weeks. They have not been to port in 38 weeks. Keep in mind, there are 52 weeks in a year. And yes, the showers are moldy. They're eating basically like a gruel kind of slop at this point. There's no deodorant. There's no toothpaste. My nephew has a friend on board there, and I was basically hearing updates last week when I was in the States in real time. They're not talking about the mental health crisis. 6 people have tried to jump off that ship. The most recent was last Monday. You know, when you have not touched land in 38 weeks, in over 200 days, things start to happen to you mentally. You know, combine that with exhaustion and deadly mistakes start to happen. So, you know, this is how the Department of War, this is how Donald Trump treats our servicemen and women whose lives are already being put in harm's way for a bullshit war of aggression that was supposed to be over in a matter of weeks. We are further putting their lives at risk out of sheer ineptitude and neglect. It defies logic, it defies reason, and it defies basic fucking humanity.
See what I tell you? People trying to jump off the ship. So much for support the troops, right? These are the troops that people say they care so much about. Big reality check. Now, and then it gets even crazier. Apparently, this is the report that's coming out again from that same U.S. carrier, that a deadly clash aboard a U.S. carrier, of course, Abraham Lincoln, left 7 dead, 7 U.S. soldiers dead. This should be blasted all over corporate media at this point in time. Again, guys, I'm telling you, they're trying to cover this. I heard about this last night when I was on the call-in segment, and someone told me about this coming through. I wanted to wait and see, you know, if international news was also going to cover this as well, and they did. But this should be all over corporate media at this point. So listen to what First Point said here.
A massive U.S. aircraft carrier built to project American power could now be turning into a death trap at sea. Explosive claims have emerged about the USS Abraham Lincoln, from allegations of unbearable living conditions to shocking reports of deaths, exhaustion, and chaos. So what really is happening around the USS Abraham Lincoln? A report claimed that 7 U.S. Navy personnel were killed and several others wounded in a violent clash aboard the U.S. aircraft carrier.
So let me explain what's happening now, because we'll get into the article a little bit more. This is what happens when people do not have their needs met. They are fighting each other, right? So you don't have toothpaste. You stand in line and you don't have toothpaste when you get to, you know, the front of the line. But maybe the people ahead of you did get toothpaste. So now it's like, give me your toothpaste. I need to brush my teeth. Wait, you got soap? You got shampoo? Give me some of that. Let me share. No, I'm not going to share with you. It's mine. And then this is where the violence comes in. So this is what I'm saying. When you are not taking care of people's needs, that can escalate to violence. So it sounds like that's what's happening on board, but apparently led to the point where they are saying 7 people are now dead because of this clash. This is what is happening, folks, with our military, with our tax dollars. Under this administration, this is what is happening. It's not just what they're doing to Iran and the people there, what they're doing to the Palestinians in Gaza, the West Bank. This is also what they're doing to American soldiers. This is how they treat them. And this is what I was trying to tell you. If they're not willing to have any decency or dignity for the people, they're killing a bar, these kids, what makes you think they're going to have decency for us? They don't. Wild stuff.
The tensions reportedly began after a CENTCOM advisor faced angry crew members over complaints about the prolonged deployment. According to the allegation, the confrontation escalated into a violent fight involving knives, leaving 7 personnel reportedly dead and several others wounded.
So at this point, this is like jail conditions. People are knifing each other. That's what they're dealing with now. This is not a ship. This is a prison. And you basically had a prison yard fight. That's what's happening there. 7 people are dead.
Another report stated that 6 sailors have allegedly tried to jump from the carrier. The most recent case was reported last Monday. The claims have been linked to the extreme conditions the crew is said to be facing. The U.S. Navy has remained silent on the reported incidents, but the families of sailors on board are now speaking out.
And we told you about those families. Now, this report
Finish. Okay? The American military is done, man. Okay? It had its reign, with the hammer of the earth, for the time allotted, by Yahweh Shema Shah. Now it's done. Now it's being dismantled, man. Okay? And so it only gets worse. You see, and that's a prelude to how it's going to be in America when these people don't have access to their, daily necessities in America, man. Okay, it's going to turn deadly. Okay, so you even have, stories, like I say, about 7 service members killed in a brawl on the ship, man. Okay, so let's get some precepts. I don't know, brother, been putting these over. Let's go here to Jeremiah. All right, 51, and let's start at 27. It says, "Set ye up a standard in the land, blow the trumpet among the nations, prepare the nations against her, call together against her the kingdoms of Ararat, Mini and Ashkenaz," okay, which is just speaking of Turkey, all right, Armenia, okay, Germany, which we know that more nations are going to turn on America, man. Okay, thus said the Lord. Appoint a captain against her, which is going to be Russia. Cause the horses to come up as the rough caterpillars, which are an invasion. Prepare against her the nations with the king of the Medes, Russia, the captains thereof, and the rulers thereof, and all the land of his dominion. And the land shall tremble in sorrow for every purpose of the Lord. Okay. They shall be performed against Babylon to make the land of Babylon a desolation without inhabitant, man. Because this is how this ends. Okay, and the Lord's just showing us the preludes, okay, of a fallen empire, which is America, man. Abroad and at home. It said, "The mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. They have remained in their holes. Their might have failed. They're become as women, okay, complaining. What do women do best? Complain, goddamn. All right. So all these niggas is complaining now. You see, through. It said they have burnt her dwelling places. Her bars are broken. Okay? Her bars are broken, man. You see? So we're seeing, all right, the American military being broken down right before our eyes, man. And then you're going to have that attempt of a ground invasion. The Lord's going to remove far from thee the northern army, okay, over there in Saudi Arabia. And it's going to be a slaughterhouse. It says their stink shall rise up. It says Jeremiah 51:31, "One post shall run to meet another, and one messenger to meet another to show the king of Babylon that his city is taken at one end. Yeah, Trump. Okay, a clown. All right, that commander in chief, man. Okay, because he can't come up with no military strategy. Okay, all he can do is just hear the report of how things going. He can't come up with a goddamn thing. Okay, okay. Niggas a reality TV show star, man, and a failed businessman. Okay, and this is the guy you people rallied around. Okay, so let's let's go from there, cause let's see why they're doing this. You know why these niggas are having prison brawls on the USS Carrier. Let's see what this wild boy is doing. Okay, let's see what Iran up to.
In a dramatic declaration, Iran is preparing to take the fight deep into enemy territory. A senior commander of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, announced a major shift in Tehran's military doctrine. Brigadier General Mohammad Reza Nagdi, senior advisor to the IRGC Commander-in-Chief, told state television that the elite force has now been ordered to develop the capability to carry out offensive operations far beyond Iran's borders. The statement signals that Iran is building the capability to launch missiles at the United States. The distance between Iran and the United States is more than 12,000 kilometers. Iran already possesses one of the largest and most diverse missile arsenals in the Middle East. Israel, a distance of roughly. According to Nagdi, the era of simply defending Iran is over. Instead, the IRGC is preparing for a strategy that allows it to strike enemies on their own soil whenever required.
Iran is starting to go on the offense, and Mujtaba Khomeini, he just appointed, new heads of the military, and you go into, the different men that he's appointed, all of them are hardliners, and they're all about going on the offensive. Okay? So now Iran is in the offensive spirit. Okay? Why? Because the Lord got them in that spirit. You see? To carry out their assignment in prophecy, man.
Nagdi said, "We must be able to take operations into enemy territory, into the enemy's lands, and carry out operations far from our own territory." He described this as Iran's new offensive doctrine and said the IRGC has been instructed to build the capability needed to execute it. The commander also projected confidence in Iran's military strength. He claimed that despite America's military budget being hundreds of times larger, Iran had frustrated every objective of its adversaries during the conflict. Nagdi insisted that the outcome of any confrontation would not be decided by military spending, but by what he called the power of faith. He also claimed Iran's military production remains untouched. According to him, the country's drone factories are producing aircraft faster than they are being launched. Ballistic missiles, he said, are also being manufactured faster than they are fired. His warning was unmistakable. If a conflict drags on for years, Tehran said it has the industrial capacity to keep launching drones and missiles without running out of weapons. The remarks come amid heightened tensions between Tehran and Washington, with both sides exchanging increasingly sharp military and political warnings. Tehran is no longer speaking only about defending its borders. It is openly talking about carrying the war into enemy territory.
Can Iran really hit the United States mainland? A stunning threat from Iran is now raising that very question. During Friday prayers in Avaz on August 7th, senior Iranian cleric Abdul Nabi Musavi Fard reportedly declared that Tehran is preparing to dramatically extend the range of its missiles, putting the American mainland within reach. Musavi Fard, who serves as the representative of Mojtaba Khamenei, Iran's third supreme leader, made the explosive remarks while addressing worshippers, and his message was chilling. We are preparing so that the American people also experience missile strikes and understand what it means to be dragged through blood and dust, he said. The message coming out of Avaz was unmistakable. Musavi Fard claimed Iran is working toward extending its missile range to 15,000 kilometers, a range that would theoretically put the continental United States within striking distance. He also pointed to Iran's existing missile capabilities. The cleric said Iranian missiles can already reach Israel, a distance of roughly 2,000 kilometers from Iran. He then led chants of revenge, revenge, while calling for the destruction of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Iran already possesses one of the largest and most diverse missile arsenals in the Middle East. The Islamic Republic is believed to have thousands of ballistic and cruise missiles, including systems capable of striking Israel and parts of southeastern Europe. Missiles remain at the heart of Iran's military doctrine. They are one of Tehran's most important strategic deterrents against a far more powerful United States and its regional allies. According to a 2022 estimate by U.S. Central Command, Iran possessed more than 3,000 ballistic missiles. But Tehran's missile program goes far beyond the launchers themselves. Over the years, Iran has built what it calls missile cities, vast underground military facilities carved into mountains and designed to protect missile systems from enemy strikes. Some of these facilities are reportedly buried deep underground, and they are believed to house systems including the Shahab-3, Sejil, and Khorramshahr families of missiles, with reported ranges reaching around 2,000 kilometers. But Iran's ambitions may stretch far beyond that. Military analysts say Tehran has spent decades developing its missile program with technological assistance from countries including China and North Korea. And now there are reports suggesting that North Korean technology could be playing a role in Iran's long-range ambitions. Some reports have claimed that an 80-ton rocket booster linked to North Korea's Hwasong-15 intercontinental ballistic missile may have been transferred from Pyongyang to Tehran. The Hwasong-15 is believed to have a range of nearly 8,000 miles, theoretically enough to reach large parts of the continental United States.
And there you have it. We know according to prophecy that that's the play. Okay, so why these niggas is crying about toilet paper? Okay, Iran, is putting more range on his missiles, man. Okay, to reach homeland America, man. You see, it's a completely different spirit over there, and they've been living with sanctions for decades, man. Okay. So let's play this, brother. Let's pull this up. All right, this is the brother Damawati. Hey, Shalom, still rocking them bracelets, brother. The water. Be looking for some more. I would rather like come back out there, brother. But yeah, this is Jeremiah 50 and 14. It said, "Put yourselves in array against Babylon round about, all ye that bend the bow. Shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she have sinned against the Lord." See, the Most High has a target on America. And that's why these nations are able to come up with this capability to reach America with these missiles, because this is what the Lord wants. You see? The Lord is allowing these nations to come up, with this missile technology to reach American homeland and reach it quickly. Okay, at hypersonic speeds. And says, spare no arrows, man. So all these nukes that these nations possess, okay, are going to be shot into America, man. You see? Verse 15, it says, shout against her round about. She have given her hand, and she is defenseless. Her foundations are fallen, her walls are thrown down, for it is the vengeance of the Lord. Take vengeance upon her, as she have done, do unto her. As she have done, do unto her. Okay? And America has launched so many missiles and airstrikes on nations all throughout the world. Now all that firepower is gonna come back to America, man. All the munitions America has dropped on these nations, well, all this coming back. Okay, all this is getting ready to come back, and it's gonna come back in a moment, and it's gonna turn this place to a desert, man. Okay, so yeah, you Americans, you're done abroad and at home. Okay, abroad and at home, you Americans are out of here, man. Okay, your days, hey, your days are numbered, man. The American Empire days are numbered. You see, and let's get this real quick as well. All right, because let's see. Let's play a little bit of this.
Gulf. Recognize former allies in the Gulf recognize the disaster that we have wrought. Have we abandoned Kuwait?
Then brothers can put that in post that in the book of Sirach, chapter I want to say it's 8 and 15. Yeah, Sirach 8 and 15.
I mean, they're fighting for their survival right now. People need to understand that Kuwait was about two or three asserted Iranian missile strikes away from extinction. The Iranians had destroyed a lot of Kuwait's energy production capacity, and I'm not talking about oil well pumping. They proved they could take that. I'm talking about actually creating energy, the thermal plants that produce energy. Why is energy important? Because it drives everything. Like the electricity that powers the air conditioning in the buildings in a nation where the average temperature in summertime is about 120 degrees. You can't live without air conditioning. Water, they started hitting desalination plants, and the Kuwaitis were down to their final desalination plants, had to be talking about how they're going to source water from other nations, but that's not sustainable in the long run. So two or three more missile attacks by the Iranians hitting the right targets, and Kuwait shuts down as a nation, and they knew this. Bahrain knew it. United Arab Emirates knew that. Saudi Arabia is waking up to this reality. Qatar is going, my goodness, what's happening? They all understand what happened here. They were deceived by the United States. And it was self-deception on their part, to be honest, because any rational actor would know that the United States was not a reliable partner. But as I said about the American people, you tolerate the lies so long as you're making money. And as long as the United States was there pretending to be their protectors, the energy was flowing, they were making money. And all these Gulf Arab states, they're not governed, with few exceptions. They're not governed by people who care about their people. They're governed by the most corrupt tribal elites that were picked by the British back in the colonial times to run these fiefdoms as British neo-colonial experiments, and then America took over. And so these nations, these leaders exist for our benefit in a quasi-colonial relationship. And now they've been caught out. And so they fear not only for the fact that they're going to lose their, the ability to survive as a nation, but what they fear most, because they don't care about the nation, that they're going to lose their ability to survive, as a power elite. These are some of the most corrupt people you've ever met. They're not good people. The hypocrisy is beyond belief. And when they lose the ability to generate the money to pay for their excessive, corrupt, perverted lifestyles, their heads are going to roll. And so they've all woken up. This is existential for them. This is, we aren't going to be able to jump on our 747s and fly to London and party like, it's 1999 for 2 weeks, and then come back and build a mosque and beg for forgiveness lifestyle.
So they know this. So they're now starting to say, how do we adapt to this new reality? And you see things like the Turkish, Saudi, Pakistani, Middle East NATO that they talk about. I don't take it serious at this point. But you see them struggling to say, how do we get out of this? None of them want to acknowledge that Iran is now, a new regional superpower, a new reality, but they're all going to have to acknowledge that. The other thing they're not fully embracing yet is what it means when America leaves, and America will leave. I mean, we again, I just want to say, we lost. We don't have any cards, none. The steel wall is unsustainable. The aircraft carrier that's out there backing it up, those boys have been out, and boys and girls now, have been out in the sea longer than they were supposed to be. They're having family problems at home. They're having operational problems on the ship. They don't want to be there. Morale is plummeting, and nobody wants to be part of a losing war. And I think everybody right now in the U.S. military understands we got beat.
Finish. Okay. And these GCC nations that were in alliance with America, they're paying their costs. If America and anything attached to America is done, okay, they're gonna get it first, man. Okay. So these GCC nations, these Gulf Arab nations, they have benefited off, American umbrella, the American economy. Okay, they've been able to build themselves up. Now it's all going away. Now all the wickedness that America, has been doing, which they've been doing it from these different nations, when these air bases, these, using the airspace of these other nations. In Kuwait, that's one of the main places where the troops were gathered, for an invasion. When they invaded Iran, the troops, they gathered, the American troops were staged and gathered in Kuwait. That's where they get their marching orders. That's where they get suited up, and they go forth with an invasion, They was able to do that in Kuwait. But see, now Kuwait is almost not even functional, man. And that's intentional, and Iran is making it very hard logistically for American military to function in their region, man. Okay, which that's why everything going forth, all right, for America is going to be disaster after disaster, man. Okay, and America has no leadership. You see, only crooks, niggas that know how to steal. That's all these niggas know how to do is steal, man. Okay. This Sirach 8 and 15 is from the brother GMS All In 144. Said, travel not by the way with a bold fellow, lest he become grievous unto thee. And now, because America is that bold fellow. America has been that bold fellow throughout the earth. They're stealing, pillaging, doing coups, bombing all throughout the earth, man. Okay, he said, for he will do according to his own will, and thou shalt perish with him through his folly, man. You see? And these nations that's allied with America, these Gulf Arab nations, man, are perishing over there, man. And they join with this nigga and his folly, man. Okay? And then on another note, you people that's getting ready to take this sea hip, okay, because Esau, these elites, they're bold to think they're going to replace the most power technology. So if you, all right, join yourself with this man on this, in his wickedness, his pride, okay, to try to establish this technocracy, you're going to perish with this nigga and his folly, man. Especially over in America with those nukes. You see? So yeah, man, it's all bad from here. There's no good news for America, whether you're on the aircraft carrier, whether you get sent on this ground invasion, whether you're an ally of America, whether you're stationed in the base, in American base abroad, okay, or whether you're in the American homeland. There's no good news, man. It only gets worse from here, man. So yeah, we'll leave it there. I think that's suffice for the day. So Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you few sisters edified once again. I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, and Kakodash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders, GMS, who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers, and peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful elect. Shalom.